He died with a flower in his hand. We found him on a beanbag with his chin resting on the top button of a favorite friend's shirt. He'd worn the shirt when we interviewed him for the empty room a week or so before. We were having one of those bad runs where you seem to interview about 30 people every day and they are all total zipperhead. We really took this guy in desperation. He was on the list, didn't have a microbe or anything like that, and now both he and the fallible role were cool. Our first dead housemate, at least we got some bond of him. We had no idea he was a junkie, otherwise we would never have given him the room. You let one junkie in the house and you may as well let them all in. We had another secret junkie live with us once, Melissa. She was okay, but her boyfriend stole off my CD, told me some Jap guy, a photographer, took them, and if I went to Cancela's on Wednesday night, I could probably find them hid there. Yeah, right. Melissa, on the other hand, when her credits came out of the same house, month after she left, a couple of debt collectors come round looking for Ron Corcoran. That was the identity she set up, but we didn't know that. We were very helpful because bills had been turning up for this Corcoran prick for a month. We didn't know who he was. Just some mystery guy racking up thousands of dollars in debt and sending the bills to our place. We sat the debt collector down in the living room with a cup of tea, showed them all the other bills that had been arriving for Mr. Corcoran. When they saw that the last bill was for two Qantas ticket to America, their shoulders sort of slumped. I've still got those bills. $35,000 worth. But Melissa was okay. In fact, she was a real babe. She used to steal food from the house, from this restaurant she worked in. If you're reading this, Melissa, we really appreciate the food. There were 4 or 5 of us living at Quebec Street at that stage. Everyone was on the dole or off-study or minimum wage. The house was typical Darlinghurst, this huge, dark, damp terrace with yellowed ceiling, green carpet with cigarette burns and brown, torn-up furniture. We'd sit around on Tuesday night waiting for Melissa to get home with our stolen dinner. She usually walked through the door just before Twin Peaks came on. So there was this nice warm feeling in the house as we all sat in front of the taps carving down the free stuff. On a good night, when someone shook had come through, we'd have a couple of beers to share round. And on a great night, when someone, usually Melissa, had scored, we pull out the bucket bong and get completely whacked. On those nights, that nice warm feeling was really close. It wrapped you up like your dad's old chopper, kept you safe. On those nights, you could delude yourself that shared housing, which is all about deprivation and economic necessity, was really about something else. A friendly, short of health, sensible descendant of the communal ideal. But it never lasts, never holds together. Somebody always moves on, or lost their mind, or dies with a revolver in his hand, and you're on the road again. Jeffrey! That was that guy's name. It got away from me for a minute there, but I knew it. It started with a G. He died watching Rage, with the sound turned down. One of the hip young inner-city cops who turned up to investigate state he probably snuffed in halfway through the Hot 100, just like a junkie. There was a nightclub stamp on his wrist, bruised up and down his arm. The falafel chili and yogurt sauce had leaked from the roll and run down his hand in little white rivulets. For a brief, perverse moment, it seemed to me that he himself had sprung a leak, a delicate stream of liquid heroin escaping from the seams of his finger. I've seen 100 lives pass through the blurry kind of sleep-deprived landscape of a dozen different share houses, but Jeffrey was the only one that ever fetched up and died on a beanbag. The other all moved along on their own weird trajectories. They were never still. Everybody was constantly mobile, or wanting to be moving targets, random drive-through, and people whose life rested on nothing more stable than inertia. Some of them now work for gigantic weapon corporation or drug cartels. They've got these incredible lives, jet travel, credit card, respect, even fear from those top-headed guy who stand in front of the yacht. But if they were housemate of mine, I've seen them lugging meals from the Krishnas, or sitting on the lodge room floor in home-brand underwear, with all the windows blacked out, and hundreds of candles pushing back the dark, not doing much, just sitting there, or smashing 500 empty beer bottles into million jack pieces on the kitchen floor while graying mincemeat patties slowly peel away from the ceiling. Slowly, 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 then plop, impaled on the waiting fangs of glass below, or sitting in front of the television for 2 days straight, with giant fruit lizard clinging to their shoulder, a bowl of magic mushroom by their feet, their weeping bloodshot eyes the shape of little rectangle. Madness, as one flatmate of mine used to say with just a hint of satisfaction in his voice. Things get out of control all the time in share houses. It's not just a matter of the rent slipping behind, or the washing piling up. People flip over the line, way over. I know about this. Been there myself a couple of times. One place, Tube Street, home of the smashed stubbies and falling patties, was nothing but a madhouse. A huge rambling kind of place, an ex-brothel, we all thought, because there were so many rooms in there. A lot of them looked like they had been jerry-built at some stage. Bedrooms where bedrooms shouldn't ought to be, and so on. We were paying $11 a week, each between the 10 or 11 of us living there. We were never completely sure of the number because of the continual drop-in and disappearance of the strange case of Satomi Tiger. I just know you're thinking, what the hell is a Satomi Tiger? While we're sitting on the floor of the living room one night. Actually, we had two living rooms in this weird house, but we turned the other one into a basketball court, and we're watching TV, as usual. And this Japanese girl walked in wearing these audacious tiger strip pants and a poo brown imitation that for a thing. Good evening. She says I move in now, and that was all. She had no other English. She drops a wad of cash on the table and wanders off to find a room. We're all just sitting there thinking, what the hell is this? But then again, she dropped this wad on the table, so who cares? We found out later that Satomi Tiger had met our invisible flatmate Tim on his last trip to Asia, the one which ended up with him being investigated for espionage and committed to an insane asylum in Hong Kong. You can see Tim in the miniseries Bangkok Hilton. He plays three different paid parts, most notably that of drunken buffoon in a boat, a frighteningly accurate performance. Tim escaped from the asylum with the help of a friend, also called Tim, but he was always a little elsewhere afterward. He met Satomi Tiger in Japan and invited her to visit him in Queensland. She took him up on the offer. Only thing was, we never really knew where Tim was at any given moment. When Satomi Tiger arrived, rumored had him cutting cane in the north. Whatever, it didn't bother her, and it didn't really bother us. It was that kind of house. The setup with the rent, for instance, was more suspicious. We sent a cash check every 2 or 3 weeks to this post office box in the western suburb, deep in serial killer territory. We never get any receipt, but we never get any hassle either. There was a phone number to call in an emergency, which we used when the bathroom looked like it was going to fall off the end of the house one time, but there would only be this spooky message at the other end.